Time for the 49ers Rush podcast.
Let me say this. I went back today. I spent a lot of time. I did a Jawan Jennings breakdown because I'm pretty excited about Jawan Jennings, especially after the camp. And I went back through the Week 18 Rams game where everything was on the line. Jawan Jennings, breakout game, whatever you want to call it. It was awesome, man. He got his highest snap count all game. But what I noticed is because I was just fast forwarding through the plays, I didn't see 15 out there. So I was just skipping through them. During the kind of turnaround of that game, they were in two tight end sets. The 49ers love two tight end sets. So they're going to keep three. Do you think there's any way, Anthony, that they will not have three tight ends on the active roster?
No, I don't think so. I think they're going to have three. They have to. The way that Kyle Shanahan likes to use the different personnel groups.
In the goal line sets?
Yeah, and then I just don't know what Forrester's going to want to do on offense. If Forrester in that run game, I'm sure he's going to want to have, some big packages. I mean, that's one of Kittle's best skill sets is his blocking. If they could have him and Warner, him and Croft out there, I think those are good situations for the 49ers.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. I love this. Tobias. Croft is a lock. Man, that's incredible. The rest you can stack on practice squad. No risk of them being picked up. That try to convince me that it's not Croft. Can you do that? I'm pretty sure it's Croft.
I think the only way that Croft wouldn't make this is if he was injured or if Jordan Matthews all of a sudden became the ultimate blocking tight end, because his receiving skills is going to be far superior to everyone else, but the blocking skills has to be there. I don't know if you can learn how to block at this level in one season, but we're going to find out in training camp. I'm really excited to see what he does when he gets out there.
If he did make the roster, everybody would be happy. You know what I mean? Like nobody's gonna be like, oh, blah blah blah. Like no, Matthews is incredible because he's similar to what you have with Dante Johnson, but he doesn't have the negative tape that you saw with all the getting burned deep against Miami and all those other whatever. So like it's different because it's all positive. It's like everybody's like third cousin, like, oh yeah, this is cool. Yay, awesome. Literally Jerry Rice's third cousin.
Right.
Now, I put this up on Twitter, so let me share this real quick. Let me see if I don't mess this up. I'm sure I'm going to. I asked this question on Twitter right before we went live. Who is going to win the 49ers tight end 3 job? Roz Dwelly ran away, only about 230 votes. So it's only been up for about 30 minutes now. But Roz Dwelly got 57% of the vote. And I know people are tied to Dwelly just because of the past, and he's been a fan favorite. I'm not so sure. Tyler Croft came in second with 28% of the vote, Fumagalli with 8%, and Tanner Hudson with 6%. So I don't know, man. The faithful, they love some duct tape Dwelly. He brought back some very positive memories and some very key moments, in that 2019 run that was just, was so good. But if you look at recency bias, and maybe I'm guilty of that, I was glad that they brought it back. I was a little shocked they brought him back because he just got no playing time late. Anyway, any chance for Dwelly? No?
I think there's a chance for Dwelly because he is a holdover, and we know that Kyle Shanahan, I'm sure, likes him if he keeps bringing him back. Thinking about 2019 is, I think, why everyone's voting for him. 2019, he had himself a really good year, and everyone expected him to build on that in 2020, 2021. And what we saw in 2020 was all of a sudden he forgot how to block. I mean, he just couldn't block very well.
It got bad.
And that was one of the most stressful things to watch was him struggling, especially when you don't have George Kittle. You thought he was going to be the guy that's going to be able to give you, serviceable play, and he wasn't able to. And you're right. I wasn't expecting him to come back either. The fact they brought him back, I think they were just trying to make sure they had 3 very solid tight ends. And I think they've brought in guys now they're going to compete, and somebody's probably going to beat him out. Because if we're saying Warner's on the team, I think one of these other guys will beat Dwelly out.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. The 49ers are stacked at a couple of positions. I would not put the tight end position in that, but man, the fact that you have 5 guys and nobody knows who's going to be the tight end 3, that is kind of a microcosm of what John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have built this year. That's one of the things that separates the 2022 offseason and any offseason that predates it. There is depth on depth on depth at almost every single position. Almost every single position. Even the positions with question marks like interior offensive line or even safety. There's depth, but there's might not be the star or the stud or whatever else. But man, it's just been, I don't know. It's almost like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan said, "Look, we lost maybe 1 or 2 seasons because of injuries. F that noise. If somebody gets hurt, we're moving on. So what do we got to do to build that roster?" They're definitely one of the deepest teams in the NFL. You agree with that, right?
Yeah, I think so. I would put them up there as one of the, top 3 as far as depth in the entire league, and I think they went in and improved areas of strength and also, shored up some weaknesses. Because I think we're all comfortable with the fact that they improved the cornerback position, which has been a question, for years now. So I think they've done a really good job of making sure they insulated themselves against injury, and that's what's gonna help them in the year because it's gonna be a grind. Some of these other
Yeah.
teams are top heavy. If they lose one guy, they're in a world of hurt. The 49ers are not in that sort of situation. They can get by.